It's time for the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast.
All right, welcome in to a special exclusive episode here on the Kirby on Sports Podcast. You can find this episode on our YouTube page. As always, big thanks to our sponsors, Rieger Building Services, PM Plus Reserves, and Shenandoah Primitives. Without them, none of this would be possible. We are pleased to welcome into our exclusive episode today, a sports reporter for ABC7 News, Olivia Garvey, the second interview of 2021. So, Olivia, first and foremost, I know you're in DC right now, but I hope everything is safe over there with you and you're doing all right right now.
Well, first of all, I'm honored to be your second. That's so great. And, yes, I am. I'm far enough away where I am safe. It was a crazy day yesterday. A lot went on. It was very overwhelming, especially for the people here in DC, but everything is good. Just don't leave your house. That's the best example. The best thing I can tell everyone here in DC, just stay home.
So with that curfew that went into place, is that affecting whether you go into the newsroom or not? Because obviously that's like a mayor mandate, and she, what I've heard, she can like put that into place at any time. So is there any thing going on, or are you considered essential with reporting on what DC sports teams right now?
So I work from home Wednesday through Saturday, and then I always go into the studio on Sunday. So it never really affected me. I have my lights here. That's why I'm very bright today. I don't know what's going on with them. But no, I do not go to the studio unless we have our Sports Sunday show, Scott Abraham and I. So that is when we do, but usually they like me to stay home during the week and go live from my living room. So so I was fine. I did very quick sports cast yesterday. Obviously we needed to focus on what was going on more than anything really going on in sports. I think that was a priority and I think it was the right move. So, but I was good. I work from home a lot anyway. So.
Well, yeah, nothing better than working from home. So, this whole pandemic, has it really affected, how has it affected your job from your point of view, like with everything that's been going on?
So I haven't interviewed someone in person on it. I interviewed one girl a couple months ago, AZ Fudd, when she picked the college that she was going to. She's a high school basketball player here in the DMV. But I came to DC in June. So I haven't interviewed any players one-on-one. I have only done it over Zoom. I have not interviewed any beat reporters one-on-one. It has been all over Zoom. That has been the toughest part about this job so far, because I came in when the pandemic was at its highest, and it just keeps getting worse as we go through the year and this new year. But that's been the toughest thing for me, is not being able to have that personable conversation between a player or a coach. You know, when you're a reporter, you feed off of their energy, and over Zoom that can be difficult sometimes. But you know, it hasn't been that bad. It's still personable. You're still on Zoom. It's one-on-one. Actually, the pressers are easier because, you know, everyone's not scramming in for a question. You get picked as, you know, as whatever the lineup is. But that's been the hardest part, I think, is just figuring out a way to bring the viewer something that is electric and exciting, even though we're in our living rooms.
Well, I hope you're introducing yourself and what station you're from when you're doing those press.
Always. I've had to because I'm the new girl. So no one really knows me here yet. A lot of the people that have been covering DC sports have been here for years.
You didn't get the joke though.
No. Oh, are you talking about Scott? You know what? So yeah, wow. Little bit of a moment for Liv. So that was really funny. So that press conference, you know, Ron said, I'm sorry, who is this? Because Scott Abraham always goes, Scott Abraham, ABC7. So the next day I was doing the press conference and I was like, so I have to start off with Olivia Garvey, ABC7, and Ron got a kick out of it. But we should be doing that. I definitely should, because I'm a new girl. Everyone doesn't know me.
Yeah. So, I guess welcome to DC since you've been here since June. You came from Los Angeles. You were previously the sports director at NBC Palm Springs.
Mhm.
So you covered a lot of tennis, golf, and high school sports. So tell us a little bit about your time in Los Angeles and covering for NBC Palm Springs.
So NBC Palm Springs, it's about 2 hours away from LA. So I actually grew up in Palm Springs. I went to high school there, middle school. And I got so lucky and blessed to be able to go back home and be on air in the place that I grew up, the place that really shaped me. And I covered my old high school. I covered my old, my softball team, the coach there. I mean, different coach, different athletes, but it was so exciting to be able to cover my high school again, but it was also exciting to be able to cover all the high schools in the Coachella Valley, the ones that were the rivals. And now I love the rivalries that, I grew up with. They're still there. They're still intact. So it was really fun to go back and be able to do that. And everyone was so kind to me when I came back home, and they loved that a hometown girl was covering her old home. It was so fun. And then of course the tournaments there, like it may have been 144 on the what is it, on the rankings, like TV stations. But we had the BNP Paribas Open. Some of the biggest tennis stars go there and play tennis. It's a 17-day tournament, and I loved covering that. We had the American Express golf tournament, which I loved. I love golf. I grew up in Palm Springs, for goodness sake. So that was always fun. And I met a lot of athletes. I met a lot of great athletes, and they gave a small market girl a chance to interview them. And it was so fun, and I learned so much. And I miss it all every day, but I'm so happy to be here in Washington.
Well, that's really great to hear. And even before that, you were a production assistant for NFL Network and NFL Red Zone. One
Yes.
of the biggest productions on Sunday. I have to get your behind the scenes knowledge of what goes on a Sunday in that Red Zone studio.
Oh my God. Well, first and foremost, Scott Hansen is a well-oiled machine. That guy, he gets to the studio at 6 a.m. and doesn't leave till 7. Like, he is there. It's Sunday. It is one of the most, you wouldn't think it's as organized as it is because everything that's going on, but we have a huge production team. We would get there by 7. We would have our production meetings. They would get us ready for what's to come. But really, when you're in there, I'm in a small edit bay with 3 guys, the producers, and then there's 2 of us. I called all the plays. So I'm looking at 10 screens, all these games going on. I have my other production assistant with me, and we're calling plays that we see. They go to the producers, and then they go to Scott Hansen. So any big plays that are going on, we call it, we tell our producers, the producers tell Scott, and then we'll switch to that game. It is so organized, and you have to, it doesn't seem like it is because Scott is just, and the guy really doesn't need us, by the way. Scott Hansen doesn't need production assistants, maybe one producer, but if he wanted to, he could do this alone. But it's just, there's a type of way that you do things during Red Zone, even though it's hectic and there's a bunch of games going on. There's a system and it works. And I give all the credit to those guys in there because they know what they're doing. They give the best show on Sundays. And like I said, Scott Hansen, he's just a beast. I think the year I was there, that was the first time he ever went to the bathroom in 4 years because we're sitting down for 8 hours. So it's crazy. It's crazy. We sit down for 8 hours. Rarely do we go to the bathroom. We get box lunches that are brought to us. So we can't move because, we have the 10 o'clock games in LA start at 10 and then you go 105 and then you go 405. It's just like, it's a lot, but it was the best time of my life, I think.
So Red Zone is probably a fan's dream because you've probably seen it because it's all the games queued up at their Red Zone moments when they're driving about to score. So you don't miss a single piece of action from your time there, Olivia. Can you sort of give us some big moments you've seen like maybe crazy plays you've seen that you were like, we have to cue this up now or something like that?
Oh my gosh, I can't even remember because there were so many plays that were just, there was always those one-handed catches in the end zone where you're just like, okay, go to that, replay that over and over and over again, and let Scott really make people excited at home. I can't remember. There were so many. There's not one that I can remember right now. I will after this, by the way, but there's not one that I remember. But I mean, I don't know. There was just so many that were so fun. And Hansen makes every play exciting. So like, even if it was like just this one, one-handed catch that, not OBJ style, but everything was just so fun and so exciting. That whole day is an exciting little experiment.
Yeah. Sitting down for that long period of time, just watching football though. I mean, it's like, it sucks because you're
everyone's
sitting
dream.
down for 8 hours, but you're watching football. So what's better than that?
Nothing. I got so lucky that they put me that, because on Sundays at NFL Network, you either cut highlights or you're in either one of the red zone, because Andrew Siciliano does red zone for DirecTV. So there are two different red zones that you can watch, and everyone always mistook us for the other one, or whatever. Yeah, you either do highlights, the other red zone, or you do this red zone. And I got lucky enough to call plays for this red zone, and it's just one big happy family. And that is the year I learned so much about football. Like, when I went to the NFL Network, I let them know even before I started my job, I'm like, look, I'm a baseball girl. I can tell you anything there is that you want to know about baseball, but football, it wasn't my strong suit. I was coming in kind of blind. Like, I loved football, but I didn't know football like the people at the NFL Network did. I was getting out of my comfort zone, but they loved that. They loved that they could teach me. And I'm so lucky I was able to do that, because like I said, I learned the lingo at red zone. I learned the plays, the rules. Like, I learned everything during that season.
I bet you're now a big football watcher after that now.
Love football now. I love college football. I'm a big college football girl. So on Saturdays, when I lived at home, my family, we got donuts, coffee, we made pancakes. Like, college game day was our thing at home.
Wow.
So I'm a big college football girl.
I'm more of an NFL guy myself. I can't keep track of too many college football games, because college football is like NFL on steroids, because you have 20, 30 games on TV, and like, what am I picking? What am I going to watch? And I'm like,
no, right. Exactly.
It's like sports overload.
Yeah. It really is the NFL on red zone, but I love, or red zone. The NFL on crack, but I love it. It's Saturdays are so great.
So from your time in California, what sort of made you decide you wanted to make the change to Washington, D.C.? Was it an opportunity that just came about, or tell us a little bit about why you decided to move cross country for ABC7?
So I mean, I went to Palm Springs thinking I would be there for 3 years, 2-3 years. I thought for sure I would need those reps. I would need the years to be there and able to make a big move. And in this job, I mean, that's what you do, is you climb the ladder. And that is how you get to the next spot, the big spot. And so I did my time as a production assistant. I did my time as an editor. And then I did not want to be on air, by the way, in college and at the NFL Network. I didn't know that's what I wanted to do. And then someone kind of asked me to do on camera work. And they said, you have to go to a local network. Like, you will learn and you will be great at this. And I was like, oh God, I don't know. And then NBC Palm Springs gave me a shot. They were like, we'd love to give you a shot here. So they did. And my news director there, Gino Lamont, he really guided me through that 14 months I was there. And I got an agent. An agent contacted me in October, so 10 months into being at NBC Palm Springs, and said, I want to help you, blah, blah, blah. So in February of 2020, my reel went out to a bunch of different places, and ABC7 called my agent and said, we want to maybe have her here. And this is a big step for me personally. I mean, I was at 144 and now I'm in 7. Like that's such a big jump, and I couldn't believe, and I was nervous. I didn't think that I would be able to do it. And then I started talking to Cheryl at ABC7, our news news director, and then kind of talked to Scott a little bit, and I just felt like I would be right at home here, and that's exactly what happened. And I've learned so much in the 7 months I've been here.
Well, it's great to see the path that brought you here. Well, once again, Olivia Garvey, you can check her out on Twitter at Olivia ABC7. A lot of great content put out from you so far. So let's get into some of it. The big breaking news, I'll give this to you first since you're a baseball fan. The Mets just acquired Francisco Lindor.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a huge move. I'm not sure how closely you follow the Mets or the Indians. I know you are a Dodgers fan.
Oh, I do. We got to follow the Mets. I mean, they have become scary in the last 3 years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, their pitching and their bullpen is crazy. If only people would not, get hurt so much, but that happens. DeGrom, Thor, all those guys. Adding Francisco Lindor is going to be huge. That is a huge thing for the Mets. The Padres and the Mets, they're sick of being behind the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
They're done. I'm scared of this Padres team. I'm a huge Padres fan as well as a Dodgers fan, but they're done. They're sick of the Dodgers kind of taking the lead here. And you know what? I kind of love it. Finally, bring some heat to this, to baseball. Like, this is going to be great. He's going to be a huge source in the infield. I mean, the guy is so good. He's so good. His time with the Indians was done. He needed to move on.
Yeah, the deal was Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco from Cleveland for Ahmed Rosario, Andres Jimenez, and 2 minor league players. So I think this adds a lot to the Mets that will make the Mets an even bigger threat in the NL East this upcoming baseball season, whenever that may be.
Yeah, and he's got a bat too. I mean, he may be small, but this guy is so strong. The way his ability to get the ball, to throw it, he's so quick. He has some of the best hands in baseball. I mean, every guy in the infield needs that hand-eye coordination. He has it. He has all the tools. He's such a good player. It'll be exciting to see him. I didn't imagine him being a Met, but why not? They need that bat in the lineup. They need a strong infielder, and now they have it. And I'm sure this is not the last guy that they pick up in the offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. I could imagine the Mets picking up some more players. But moving on, I do want to talk a little bit more about the Padres. They picked up Yu Darvish from the Cubs. Blake Snell, we all know that World Series game where Kevin Cash pulled Blake Snell early, and
I was there. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, you were there.
I was there. Wow. My mom and I went. We could not believe that they had done that. We were like, what's going on? Why would you do that? And Blake Snell, everyone after that was like, well, he's not going to be here anymore. So Enjoy your time in that uniform, because it's going to be the last. Like I don't understand their thought process. It kind of reminds me of the Eagles last Sunday.
Oh, yeah. I was just about to say that.
Kind of reminds me of a certain football team that took their better quarterback out. But you know what? It worked in Washington's favor. So, but the Padres, I don't see them. I don't see why they couldn't win the NL. I don't see why not. They are so strong. Infield, outfield, hitting, pitching. I mean, Yu Darvish, people think, oh, it's just Yu Darvish. It's not just Yu Darvish. Like, that guy, he will go there and he will transform himself if he even can to get better. And he will be a guy that they root for. And Snell, I mean, he was so dominant in the postseason. And now the Padres have him. So I'm telling you, like, the Padres are done. They're done messing around. It's been a while since they've won a World Series or done anything, really. So they're solid.
Yeah. So with this pandemic and everything, do we know if MLB is set to go on track for 162, are they shortening the season? What have you heard anything?
I know that the season is going to start late. I know it's going to start in May, but that's the only thing they come out with.
I see.
Like people want to, with baseball, you saw what happened last year. It took them months to figure out what to do. The NFL or the MLB and MLBPA, it took them months to figure out what to do, how to agree on something. I can't even imagine what's going to happen this next year, because now there's a void between Manfred and the players. They're mad. So it will be interesting to see what happens, how many games get played. I don't think there are going to be fans in the stands at the beginning. Absolutely not on track of what we're happening. I worry about the minor league players, to be honest, because we know there will be major league games, and of course we don't want to see that. Now let's see what happens on the minor league side. Those prospects. What are you going to do? So that will be interesting. I know nothing. I just know that it's going to be a later date.
All right. So, you sort of led right into my next sort of topic, the Washington football team winning the division. What a crazy game that was. What an interesting game that was. I still can't wrap my head around it. I really can't, because Washington pretty much gave Philadelphia every opportunity to win that game. If it was a muffed punt that the Eagles almost recovered, 2 interceptions, and the Eagles pulled Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld and turns the ball over twice, throws a pick and fumbles the football, and Washington escapes with a division win.
It's unbelievable. The first half of that game, I was a little worried for Washington. The first half of that game, Jalen Hurts went out there. Both sides really didn't look that great. Like, let's be real. I mean, both sides didn't look that great. Alex Smith, he was doing well. He led the game really, really well. He started the game off strong, but he was in pain, and you can tell that. But he wasn't giving up. This guy, I mean, comeback player of the year, I'm calling it right now. I think everyone is. He struggled, and that's why Ron Rivera said this week that he's thinking about rotating Heineke and Smith, and I think that is the best plan, because they're going up against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But that game in the half, I was up in our studio, and I was just like, Doug Peterson, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you have the ability to get Washington out of the playoffs. You're handing it to them now with Sudfeld. And the players were not upset as much as they're coming out now saying we knew. No way did they know. No way. Jalen Hurts was on that sideline, and they would go to the camera right to him, and he would just be looking like, what's happening here? So you have that divide. It was a disaster, though, on both sides of the ball in the second half, though. Like, no one could hold on to anything. No one can hold on to anything. Granted, it was a bad weather game, but both teams know how to play in that weather. So I don't think that's an excuse, but it was a disaster. I was laughing in our 11 o'clock show. I tossed back to our news anchor, and I was like, Washington won. And I was just laughing because it was so crazy. So crazy.
A 7-9 Washington football team making it to the playoffs. It took 17 weeks to do so. But what do you think that has to say about Ron Rivera as the new head coach in his first year, making it to the playoffs with all the adversity? You have the Post article, front office drama, most recently Dwayne Haskins getting fired, cut because of his off the field actions and his poor performance. All of that culminating, plus Rivera fighting cancer himself. What does that go to show for the Washington football team? Do they have a leader in Ron Rivera that they can keep on this franchise for years to come?
Strength is the first thing I think of. I mean, you have to have so much strength and mental toughness to, first of all, try to change a culture of a football team. He's really on the way to doing that. Like, I mean, there were a couple months there from June to August where it was just a disaster. And I mean, I'm telling you, I got here and I was like, this is how this team goes, and Scott was like, yeah, welcome to DC. Like, I could not believe that a culture of a football team was so bad, because I was in California. I focused on the Chargers and the Rams. Like, I didn't know the Red Washington football team was like this. I couldn't believe it. Then you bring in Ron Rivera, a guy that is organized, strict, wants us things a certain way. He has a system. And then, of course, he gets diagnosed with cancer on top of everything else. And I teared up when I found out. But then in the back of my mind, I was like, there's no reason why this man can't fight this with the way that his mentality is and the way that he carries himself every day. It was unbelievable. And we're so happy he was able to ring that bell. I had tears on my eyes when I saw that too. But he is a guy that these players would go through walls for. I mean, I've talked to a lot of these players, and I was like, what do you think of Ron? And they were like, I would jump through walls for this guy. Like, he is someone that these guys respect so much, and he is a young team. And the fact that he's able to still lead a young team, he's been in the NFL for so long. He's done so many things, but it's been a really fun and crazy to watch. And I'm just so happy for him. He deserves this weekend so much.
Yeah, I mean, culminating up to this wild card game, win or lose, in my opinion, I still feel like Rivera in the Washington football team has made a lot of headway for the future. This is a young franchise with good players to build around in order to become successful in years to come. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Snyder better keep his head on straight and know that this is their guy. Usually on a team, you have a player that is your franchise player. He is the main guy on this team. For Washington, it should be Ron Rivera. He should be your franchise leader. He should be the guy that you see all over the buildings, because without Ron Rivera, I really don't think this team would have been what it is, because with, the strengths that this team has, you need a leader in order to do that. You need a system in order to do that. And these guys just go really well with his system. So it's so good to see. It's good. I mean, this weekend, I didn't think we would be here 2 months ago, but I mean, proved me wrong. That's for sure. And I think he proved a lot of people wrong.
So I ask everybody I get on my show this question: Alex Smith and his comeback. What are your thoughts on his remarkable path back to the NFL?
Oh my gosh. I mean, like Ron Rivera, strength. I mean, like, you have to have the mental ability to get through that. You have to have a family that is his wife and his kids are so amazing. And really, before coming back, it was up to them. He said, I'm going to let my family decide if I come back. I mean, because when you go through 17 surgeries and then you almost die from those, that injury that he had or sustained, it's unbelievable. And as a wife, I can't imagine her wanting him back on the field, taking those reps. I would be nervous, but he showed that he can do it. He is, like I said, the comeback player of the year for life, I think. To be able to do that, it is so fun to see. And I can't imagine when someone sees that and they have whenever I have small problems, I'm like, well, Alex Smith went through that and look where he is now. So
Absolutely.
I'm like, you know what? My problems are not that big compared to what he's gone through. And I always think, okay, I can get over it.
Absolutely. So Washington facing Tampa Bay in the wild card game this coming Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Scott Abraham and I are going to be out there on Saturday. It's going to be so much fun. We're so excited for this. Of course we saw.
I'm sure that will be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, we're so excited. I mean, both of Scott and I together is just, we just kind of talk, and it's a great time. Chase Young coming out on Sunday saying, I want Tom. That is just the cherry on top of the Sunday. Like, that was so good. That was gold, because Tom Brady is looking at that, probably laughing, probably saying, rookie, you should probably not say that, because now you're going to see a Tom you've never seen before. You know what I mean? They're going up against a receiving core that is unbelievable. I mean, these receivers, Tom Brady, he went to Tampa because of that line of the guys that are going to catch the ball and be where he needs them to be. And I mean, it will be interesting to see because Washington's defense is so top notch. I mean, our defense is going to take control of a quarterback that doesn't like to run the ball. He doesn't like to be mobile. He doesn't like to go around his line. He likes to stay in the pocket and hope that one of his receivers will catch it. And that will be interesting to see. We'll see it. But knowing Tom Brady, he has a binder this big of our Washington defense.
Yep.
He's going to be on top of this. So they're going up against a legend. But if we know the Washington football team now, we know anything can happen. So I think it's going to be a great game. It's
the playoffs. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. And interestingly enough, like you come in, like the Washington football team, they're coming in with a losing record and they're playing at home. And any team that's done that in the last 20 years, 10 years has won. So that's a little fun stat. And I hope Washington can keep that going.
I'm hoping. We're crossing our fingers. I'm sure all DC fans are crossing their fingers.
Yes.
Let's shift our focus to the NBA. I found out last night or this morning, Westbrook for the Wizards fractured his finger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we see him out on the court, though. I bet you that doesn't stop him.
Yeah, I was like, is this really going to stop him? I was like, it's Westbrook. I don't think a fractured finger is going to stop him from playing.
No. I don't know how bad it is. I honestly didn't even know that had happened. I know he hurt his hand last night. But I mean, that guy's a leader and he's so dominant. He's scary to see out on the court. Let's not forget about Bradley Beal.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was going to discuss all that too.
Points last night.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? I loved what he said post game. He was like, he said something along the lines of, I dropped 60, but we lost. So that means nothing to me. And I was like, that's a competitor right there. That's a true leader. I was like, I would say the same thing. Like you go out and drop 60 and you lose and you're like, 60 doesn't matter to me. We lost. I'm like, okay.
yeah. Just like Westbrook in his 3 consecutive triple doubles. And they lost. Yeah. He's like, if we're not winning and I get those, then it means something. I was like, wow. I was like, what a mentality to have. That, I mean, it's a strong mentality, I think. So I don't know. I mean, Bradley Beal, though, he's an all-star this year. Him and Russell Westbrook are just all-star guys this year. Yes. So my question to you, what do you think the Wizards need to add to this team for them to start consistently winning games? Because there is talent. We have Avdia, who just came in. He's making his debut, I believe, tonight as we are recording this. And you have Westbrook, Beal in the backcourt. But what do you think needs to change from this Wizards team? Because I see the lineup, I see the players, and they're more than capable of winning, but they just haven't been winning enough. Yeah, they struggled, their first 5 games. They were 0-5, and then 2021 hit, and they were undefeated until last night. So that was cool, as long as that lasted. It's just clicking. It's just, this is a new team. There is no John Wall anymore. There is no, even though he hadn't played for a while. But, I mean, this is a new team. I think Scott Brooks needs whatever he says needs to then be put on the court. He likes to say a lot of things, and I think that it's just time to put that on the court. But these guys just need to click. Denny Avdia, what a young, good basketball player. He has shown some great success this season. It's defense. Defense needs to figure out what's going on because, offense wins games, defense wins championships. You have to have a defense to win a game, and they are not clicking on the defense. But Denny Avdia, I love that kid. I love the way he plays the game. And Bradley Beal saying the other day, like he plays the game the right way. He's asking these questions. He's going out there, and I love that. I love that he's coming into the NBA his first year and asking those questions. And then, of course, Thomas Bryant, he's dealing too. He's a tough player. I think it's just clicking on defense. You got to figure it out. So they had a pretty big win against the Brooklyn Nets. And then it comes out Durant, I believe, was out with COVID or some sort of COVID protocol.
Yeah.
Did that affect the Wizards in any way from your knowledge?
No,
No, okay.
no, I don't think so. I mean, Durant's such a good shooter. I don't think so, because in that game, so many points were scored by all the guys on the Wizards. Like every Wizard on that court. I mean, Denny Avdia, Bradley Beal, all those guys, they were just shooting. Thomas Bryant. So I don't think so. I think that was a well-deserved win on their end. They had
Absolutely.
Kirby out there. They were fine.
Absolutely. So now shifting our focus to the Washington Capitals, who are set to get on the ice to start another NHL season soon. We have stated this before on the podcast, how Henrik Lundqvist will not be with the team. His heart condition will not allow for him to be with the Capitals, which really sucks. It makes room for Samsonov, a young goalie, to get in-game experience, in my opinion. And the Washington Capitals found a way to sign a veteran with the Boston Bruins, Chara. I forget his first name. You're gonna have to help me with his first name, Bear.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Zdeno Chara.
Zdeno Chara. Yes. And you had the opportunity to interview him. So
Zdeno. I completely blanked. You're saying that, and I'm like, who are we talking about? Zdeno Chara. Duh.
Hey, it's been a long week, hasn't it?
I know. I'm focused on football right now. Like I can't even think of everything else. But the Capitals, I mean, it's so exciting. Next week they're gonna, the season starts. Getting Chara was huge. He may be a veteran, and we got him from Boston. Sorry, Boston fans, but we have him now. It's a great pickup. I think that it was a good pickup because the guy is rough. He is rough out on the ice. I've seen highlights. I'm like, I would not want that 6'9" machine coming my way. Even if he is like 43, I still don't want some 6'9" guy coming at me the way that he does on the ice. So I think that was a great pickup. And then Samsonov, I think now he has his chance and he has a way to, prove, his abilities. And this is the time to shine. Like they need that goalie. And Henry Lundqvist is not there. Unfortunately, prayers to him and his condition and his family. But Samsonov is going to need to prove his worth this season.
Yeah, so what's the mindset from what you have covered with the Capitals so far? What is their mentality going into this season? And what do you think they have to do in order to make it back into the playoffs and make a run for the Stanley Cup?
I think a new system, and that's what Laviolette is going to bring. Their new head coach, Peter Laviolette, I think they need a new system, a new way of playing the game. They have Ovechkin. They have Ovi on the ice with them. They have these veteran guys who have played the game for so long, and I think that's an advantage. I think to have these guys that have been around the league for so long, they've been in all different situations, and now they have this new system that Laviolette is going to show them these next, I think now they have 7 days left of camp, and they're going to need to pick it up quickly because camp goes by really fast, and I think they will. Because there are these veteran guys that have done this before. They know how to quickly pick up on a new head coach's way of playing the game. And I think that that is the way to do it for this team.
Obviously, Laviolette has been a part of a lot of clubs who have made it to the Stanley Cup and won. Do you think he has what it takes with the veterans on this squad to take this Capitals team to another Stanley Cup?
I do. I think so. I honestly haven't seen the way he's interacted with the guys. I don't really know, I haven't heard much about what they think of him. I'm sure they think he is great because so many people love Peter Laviolette. He's serious. He's very serious. He's a guy that wants to just win games like all coaches, but he's very serious. He's very organized. And I think he knows that with this team, there's so many different ways that they could go. And it's so easy to teach a veteran team because they've been in, like I said, so many different situations. And it's easy to pick up on a new head coach in the way that he wants things done. So I'm sure that we will see a better Capitals team this coming season than we did the last.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that, to the NHL, as you know, starting this season, a limited amount of games. So they're playing each team in the division about 7 or 8 times. So do you think, in your opinion, that's going to change how game planning goes and stuff, since they're facing more division opponents and a shortened season?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that. That's a really good question. I don't know. I would think so, but you're playing these guys so many times. How do you don't want to change what you do too much? You know what I mean? That's what I would think. I mean, I don't think you want to change because they're all watching film on each other. They all know the style of play each player has. But why? Yeah, that's what's going to be interesting. And that was a great point. Like, how do you change when you're playing these opponents so many times in a season? You know? So I don't know. That's a great question.
But because I would assume, since this pandemic and stuff and all these games are shortened, that there has to be a certain game plan different from your normal regular season game plan in order to get these games done. We've seen it in the Major League Baseball with only 60 games.
Mhm.
That's a big difference from 162 games to 60 games
Yeah. No,
with pitching and everything like that. So, yeah, it's just something that we have to look out for and be like, oh, what's going to be different, since they're not playing a normal amount of regular season games.
no, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. But everyone's had to adjust to this pandemic, and these coaches are, head coaches in the NHL for a reason. In Major League Baseball, you have to adjust. You have to be a leader. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out. Most definitely.
Absolutely. So once again, Olivia Garvey, you can check her out on Twitter at Olivia ABC7. That about wraps it up for our exclusive edition. Olivia, thanks so much for the time. Any last words for the show?
Oh my gosh, I love your show. It is so much fun. Thank you for having me on. This is great conversation. It was so chill. You do a great job. So thank you for having me.
Well, I'm trying my best. Just the best is yet to come.
Yes.
My mentality is the sky's the limit, basically, and I'm going to hit through a glass ceiling soon. I don't know when, but small and slow baby steps, and I'm
Yes.
just trying to get it done.
Well, you're doing a great job. I know that Scott has been on with you and he has spoke so highly of you and your show, and you're doing such a
Thank
good
you.
job. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. So this episode, once again, will be out on our YouTube page, along with all streaming platforms, anchor.fm/the Kirby on Sports podcast. Big thanks to our sponsors again, Regroup Building Services, PM Plus Reserves, and Shenandoah Primitives. Until next time, we say so long and peace out.